Hello again. I got a new AK-47 and I'm going to go over some of the features and things that are specific to this rifle. I got the Zastava Arms USA ZPAP M70. Now this is the second generation, which I'll go over in a bit. So out of the box, I'm in California, so I had to get the battle fin. You know, we all have to have fin grips on our pistol. And then I also got the featureless thumb rest, which I'll show. So it comes packed in a box like this with some, you know, cheapo styrofoam. The packaging is actually pretty poor. So it's a style that's kind of poor packaging. It tells you about importing and what you need to do, what makes it compliant, how to, you know, clean it with some oil on the wood. Of course, your user manual. Here is the other version. I have the wooden version. But the other version comes with polymer furniture, but obviously I think the wood is better, that's why I purchased it. So out of the box, this is what it will look like if you get it imported from California, except for the muzzle device, which I will show here. Now I put my own muzzle brake on. I have the Lantec Draken muzzle brake. This thing like insanely reduces recoil, so that's why I put it on. But the standard configuration is a typical AKM slant brake. This is what comes on it, made in USA for this part. This one's really easy to put on and off, so I took it off, put my own on. So out of the box, let's close this box. So this is a Yugoslavian model, or YUGO style AK. What makes the YUGO style AKs different is the furniture. So you can see the 3-hole handguard, which is pretty standard for YUGO rifles. Very few other AK style rifles will have the extended handguard. Now I like that because I have big hands, so when I'm holding it I have more room to adjust my grip when I'm holding the rifle. A lot more room. Whereas standard AKM furniture is going to end about here. So you're getting an extra, you know, I don't know, an extra inch, 2 inches, just under 2 inches of extra room on the handguard. Again, that's specific to YUGO pattern for the most part. And then the other part, you'll notice the receiver does not have a little tang for the screw to put the stock in. The stock just slides directly into the receiver, and a bolt is put through the butt pad all the way through the entire stock of the rifle. There's a large bolt that bolts into the receiver itself. So that's a big thing to note before you purchase a YUGO style rifle, is you're not going to be able to use any of your other AKM furniture sets. The pistol grip will be the same for any, but the stock and the handguard will only fit on YUGO style pattern rifles. That's a big deciding factor. So the fit and finish on it, very nice. I will say I've already taken to the range once, and I've already done oil to the wood. The wood comes really dry. You can kind of see the handguard looks a little dry. I might have to put another coat. I did a tongue oil finish for the wood, so that gives it a little bit of a luster. So yeah, I did tongue oil, took the furniture off. The gun comes coated in Cosmoline, which, you know, you can look up what Cosmoline is, but basically once I obtained the rifle, I stripped it down to every possible part I could take off with an Allen wrench and a screwdriver, basically. So the pistol grip is off, stock is off, handguard's off, completely disassembled the receiver except for the barrel and the trigger group, but all the internals were taken out. I soaked it in mineral spirits for about 4 hours, kind of slushing it around. And the mineral spirits will just totally pull the Cosmoline off of all of your metal parts. And then after about 4 hours of sitting in the mineral spirits, I pour boiling water and let that soak in like a big tub. And I swish that and get all the Cosmoline off. All together, finishing the wood, removing the Cosmoline, and then cleaning the rifle and giving it a thick and heavy oil bath, because after using, you know, waters, you want to make sure that you put oil on all the metal parts so they don't rust. So after I did that, It took me about, I don't know, 6 hours, so most of an entire day to clean and get the rifle ready for usage. So you might have noticed that the receiver has a bulge right here at the front trunnion. That's specific to the ZPAP M70, the second generation. The first generation did not have a bulge, and it did not have a chrome lined barrel. So I'll take it apart in a minute. So what this bulge does is, the weapon's clear. What this bulge does is every time you're firing the rifle, this is going to come back and slam forward. Now when that slams forward, a lot of the force, most of the abuse of the AK rifles is focused right here in the front trunnion of the receiver, this piece right here. So having the bulge there, it's a decent bit thicker. Every time this rifle fires, it's going to be able to withstand more abuse. It will withstand, longer abuse throughout the period of the life of the rifle. So it basically gives the rifle a little bit more longevity that you won't see in other AKs. But I mean, there are AKs that are gonna, a good AK will last you, at least 100,000 rounds before you need to swap out the barrel. So that's another thing. And the other feature for the ZPAP M70 is the receiver itself. So this piece of sheet metal right here is actually 50% thicker. It comes standard in 1mm thickness, but this one is 1.5mm. So it's going to be a decent bit heavier than you expect, because again, more wood, bulge trunnion, and thicker receiver. It's probably a pound, maybe a pound and a half heavier than other AKs. But the positive aspect to that is this AK will have less recoil. And that's the first thing I noticed when shooting it compared to my old rifle. I had a Century Arms Visca, which you can go and check in my other videos. You kind of review and, some of my thoughts from the range on that. But the recoil is way, way less on this. And that's, the more weight is in the rifle, the more of the force is going to get absorbed before it hits you. So it's really nice. So I'll take it apart and show you. Oh, one last thing on the outside. I really like the rear sight block. It has like a polished, almost chrome looking, but it's not too shiny, a polished rear sight leaf. And this makes it really easy to, adjust your sights and see where you are. I like that a lot. Another thing on the outside, obviously the bolt carrier group is nickel plated as opposed to just your standard black finish over the bolt and the bolt carrier group. And that's pretty much the whole bolt carrier group. The bolt, all the internals, the gas piston, they're all nickel plated, so they'll have this shiny look to them. One other thing that makes Yugoslavian or Serbian pattern AKs different is the way you remove the dust cover. So this dust cover is pretty secure on there. So it has a little button you have to push. Normally you just push this in and the dust cover can slide off, the recoil spring. In YUGO Serbian pattern AKs, you actually have to push this button in at the same time that you're pushing this in, and I'll demonstrate that here. So I'm going to push in the side button, push in this, the dust cover comes off. Now, one thing that's actually super awesome about this, when you're putting the dust cover back on, I'll demonstrate that. Push this in. Notice the recoil spring is not fully against the back of the receiver here. So when putting the dust cover back on, you simply line it up, set it in, and you push this button, and this will just push itself out. No hammering, no smacking the dust cover down. You just push the button, and man do I love that, because some of these AKs, the dust cover is such a pain in the ass to get on and off. So yeah, it's pretty terrible. So I'll show you. Wow, forgot. You gotta push the button down when you're removing the spring as well. Coil spring. Bolt carrier group back. And as I said before, you can see the entire bolt carrier group is nickel plated. I got some junk on there. I always clean my rifles after every time I shoot them. I don't care what people say, like, oh, you don't have to clean AKs. I take care of everything I own, so I make sure it's nice and clean. So on the internals, the things that make this different from the Gen 1 is the barrel will be chrome lined. Now, you may not be able to see down the barrel, try and get a decent angle, but the barrel is shiny, it's a chrome lined barrel. That makes it much more corrosion resistant. So, I mean, like I said, I clean my rifle every time I shoot it, but that will basically make the lifespan of the barrel a little bit longer. Some people say chrome lined barrels are less accurate than non-chrome lined barrels, but I'd rather take the longer life and the, more resistance to corrosion in my barrel over a tiny bit of accuracy. Speaking of accuracy, first trip to the range, this bad boy was totally zeroed for me out of the box. So people at Zastava Arms USA, thank you very much for doing that for me. I have the tools myself to do it, but it basically saves me a lot of stress knowing that the rifle's already zeroed. I don't have to do much. I can just enjoy my time shooting the gun. So reassembling it. Again, I cannot emphasize how much I love just having to line up the dust cover and pushing the button. That is just the nicest thing ever. So that's pretty much my ZPAP M70. Again, second generation. Some oil on there. Comes with, in case you're wondering, this wood is American walnut, and again, I did refinish it with tung oil, so it might look a little bit darker and it'll be a little bit glossier than you'll see straight out of the box. But I mean, it's a fantastic rifle compared to my Century Arms Visca. This is a superior AK in basically every metric that I could possibly imagine. I mean, the look, the finish, the feeling of the recoil, the added features, the increased receiver, the Bulge Trunnion. These features make a big difference. This one comes with a cleaning rod in there. I mean, I don't even take it out. I like the aesthetic of the cleaning rod on the AK. If you want the aesthetic of the AK, you get the wood, you get the cleaning rod. I mean, this fills that role of what you want an AK to look like if you want a traditional looking AK. But that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. It's an amazing rifle. The MSRP on it I think is like around 850, but good luck. First of all, good luck finding it in stock, and good luck finding it any price under $1,000. I paid $1,000 for this. It's worth that price, honestly. If you can find this for, I'd say even $1,100, maybe 1,200, I think time will prove that it is worth that amount of money. I have no regrets of paying $1,000 for this AK, because this AK will last my entire life, and I'll give it on to my son someday, and it will last my son's life too. So it's a good AK, and I'll try and get some other videos later on of me going to the range again, so you guys can see firing, how it works. But yeah, it's a fantastic rifle, and that's all I really got to say about it.